So a little bit of background about Ama La Vida. We are a career, life, leadership, health, and health coaching company. We work with individual clients as well as corporations. And we are all about helping you love your life. That is our mission. That is what we are focused on every single day. And we're very fortunate that we get to work with delightful people that help us love our lives too and run fun webinars like this. And we've got Cindy here today who's going to be talking about clearing 2021 and creating your vision for the rest of 2022, the rest of the year to come. I will be dropping some links in the chat as we're going. So if you know right away that you would like to meet with us, you have questions that you want to talk to a coach about, let me just make sure that I'm sending this message. So I'm dropping a link into the chat that's just going to say book time with us here. So if you would like to meet with any of the staff here, we're more than happy to talk to you about coaching and kind of answer any of your questions, see if coaching can help you. But knowing that we are here today to hear from the fabulous Cindy. So Cindy, with that, I'm going to hand it over to you.
All right, thank you so much. I am just adjusting something on my computer. Hi, everybody. I know Libby mentioned it, but it would be fabulous for me. You can see, I'll explain why I have this background, but I don't have a lot of bandwidth. So if you could put your camera, turn your camera off and mute your microphone, that way I think I will be much better able to stay with you the whole time. So that would be fabulous. So let me do a brief introduction of myself. I am a coach at Ama La Vida, and I've been coaching actually for about 20 years. And I love coaching. I've written 2 books, 2 personal growth books, one on self-love and one on transcending any challenge in your life. And so today I'm speaking about one of my absolutely favorite topics. I'm just adjusting one more setting here on my, so I'm having, So hold on one moment. I'm sorry about this, but I'm in a different location. So first of all, let me explain to you why I have the background I have. So right before our workshop today, there was a lot of drilling in my building. They're doing all kinds of construction. So I moved over to the party room, which doesn't have the best background. I thought, what would be a really fun background that would inspire all of you? And this is the background of my honeymoon, which was one of my manifestations in 2021, because we went to Kauai, which was absolutely beautiful. So I thought, you know, a great tip, I was talking to Libby before this, a great tip for you is if there's something on your bucket list for 2022, you might want to take a picture of it. And when you're doing your Zooms, have that picture as the background of your talk or your Zoom or whatever. It's really, really fun. So because it was my heart's desire, not only to find the love of my life, which took a long time, but I did, and to go to Hawaii, I just thought today that would be a great background for our seminar. So today is about a subject that I love. I love the art of manifestation. And I, many years ago, discovered that the way to look at creating the new year was not just to write resolutions or to think about what I wanted, but actually to take the time to honor and release the past year. And given we've been in unprecedented times with our pandemic, what better time to clear and honor the past year of 2021 to powerfully manifest abundance in all its forms in 2022. So this is a process that I love doing in webinars, retreats, and with individual clients. And if you were interested in going deeper within this, I am offering a few complimentary consultations, which Libby will send you a link for. But let's get started. So the first thing I'd like to do is, one of the keys to manifesting is that we need to be present. You know, before we start to think about what we want to create, we've got so much going on. Today I was listening to somebody online and they said, we actually have more than 60,000 thoughts a day. Can you imagine? And most of them are fairly negative, I think, for most of us, because we've had such a difficult time in the past couple of years. So the first thing we want to do as a group today is get present. So we're present and grounded and really open to hearing and being available for this presentation. So let's do something together. I love to do it too, which is very simple, which is get comfortable in our chairs and take a couple of slow, deep breaths. Just put your full attention and focus in on 3 deep breaths. So close your eyes now. And I'm going to do it with you, and just concentrate your full attention on a very slow inhalation. And with your exhalation, let go of everything that's brought you here today, everything you've been doing, all the momentum, any thoughts, any concerns, just let it go. And then 2 more slow, deep breaths. And then 1 more. And with your intention, bring yourself into this moment now. So when you're ready, open your eyes and come back. Good. Hopefully you're a little more relaxed and a little more open to receiving this information. The second thing I'd like you to do is consider something I call the beginner's mind. Many of the things I share about, you may have heard before. Some of you have even heard them from me, the people I know. But you've never been with this group in this moment of time today. So therefore, I invite you to have a beginner's mind, to listen as if this is the very first time you've heard this information. Great. So let's look at 2021. Today, in the very small amount of time I have with you, I'm going to just go over a few different ideas about how you can clear 2021 to create 2022. I have a methodology that I created many years ago in all of my work, and I call it the Clear, Connect, Create method. The best way I can describe it to you is a garden analogy. If you were to go and plant a garden, my mother loved to grow roses, and I would help her in the garden, and I love to do that. So in planting a garden, the first thing you have to do is clear the weeds. Clear anything that might get in the way of your beautiful garden. You can't plant roses on top of weeds, so you have to do some clearing. And a lot of my coaching has to do with clearing the limiting beliefs, the fears. And in this case, in 2021, there were disappointments, losses, things we said we were going to do that we either weren't able to do or didn't do. All kinds of things that we need to weed in order to create 2022. My thinking on this is we can't create the new year on top of the weeds. So we're going to do some weeding today. And then the connect is really come back into your empowerment, to connect to your gifts, your talents, your abilities, your power to manifest. If we want to create abundance, we need to really be confident and empowered. And then the actual creating of the new year. So we're going to spend a little time on the clearing or the weeding. If you have pen and paper, that would be great. And if not, you will be receiving the recording so you can go back and do this later. You can be thinking about these things if you can't jot them down. But if you do have pen and paper, it's great to write them down. So the first thing we're going to look at is what were the disappointments and or loss. For some people, they actually had tremendous disappointments. They weren't able to travel like they do. They weren't able to achieve certain goals that they had. And some have experienced loss. So it's important to not just step over this and on to our resolutions and our intentions. So what were your disappointments and losses? So I suggest either now or in the future, write down all of your disappointments and loss and see if you have taken the time to acknowledge them, in some cases grieve, and really let them go. So it's just a process maybe of journaling about what happened. And then at some point, we don't want to carry the past into the present. It's important to be able to honor and release. So that would be one thing that I would strongly suggest that you do in looking back over 2021. Another exercise I love to do is what I call an integrity exercise. Many of us said we were going to do several things, and because either we were locked down or we just didn't do them, like we're going to lose that 10 pounds, or we're going to, even go to the doctor, or whatever you said last year that you were going to do. I invite you to review step by step by step, going into your calendar and looking at what you did do and what you didn't do, what you did achieve and what you didn't. So I would make that list. What didn't I do that I said I was going to do? Did I say I was going to exercise 3 times a week? Was I going to change my diet? Was I going to go online and start dating, do a dating profile? There's so many things that we say, and what doesn't really work to create the new year is to have our word be impaired with ourselves. And that's where I bring in the idea of integrity. When you have integrity in your word, when you either do what you say you're going to do or consciously let go of it and or choose to do it in the new year, you, what I call, rehabilitate your word with yourself. So then when you're putting out your word or your intention or your resolutions, you're much more able to manifest them. So make a list. Why don't we take a moment now? And I'm sorry, I didn't really give you time to do the disappointments and losses. So if you need a couple moments to do that, please complete that. And I realize because of time, I'm going a little faster than I would in like an all-day workshop or working with you individually. So you can always come back to these lists and complete them later. But the second list I want you to do is just top of mind. What did you say you were going to do in 2021 and did not complete or do? Now, this is an exercise that I suggest, as I said, going into the calendar, going month by month by month, looking at what you said you were going to do that you didn't, and make a new list of all of those things. And then once you have that list, look and see which of those things you're not going to do. Those aren't even priorities anymore. Cross them off your list. But the things that you do want to bring into 2022, circle them and go back into your current calendar and schedule them. So let's talk about abundance, because we're all interested in creating more abundance in our life in 2022. And how do we do that? So the first thing to do is to discover for yourself what is abundance. For many, it's making more money and financial security, but abundance comes in many different forms. Abundance of love in your life, abundance of friends, abundance of opportunities, that fulfilling career, which Amalavita is so great at supporting you in. What is abundance to you, and what would it mean to you in 2022 to look back at the year in December of 2022 and know that you fulfilled what your intention was about abundance? So maybe take a moment to reflect upon what would it look like for you? How much would you be making? Would it be having a great relationship, that fulfilling career, achieving certain goals? In order to create abundance, you need to identify what abundance even is for you. Once you have that, once we get into 2022, we'll be working with that list to vision, and we'll be doing a vision board and other tools and techniques to bring that into manifestation. But it's really important to start thinking about what that could be for you. So going back, I'm just glancing at the time. I'm so used to doing these kind of workshops in an all-day workshop, so it's a lot to share in a small amount of time, but that's okay. We're going to touch on these topics and we can always dive in deeper together. So another part of clearing 2021 is forgiveness. Forgiveness is a huge, wonderful topic. And, you know, I often say when I do retreats, if you do nothing more than clear by forgiving yourself and forgiving others, you're well on your way to creating. Because again, manifesting has a lot to do with what's going on within you. We all know the action steps that we can take, and they're very important. And it's important to be supported and accountable for those steps. But what's going on within you? Are you not forgiving yourself? Are you sitting in your disappointments and losses? Are you just in that negative state of mind? In that space, it's very, very hard to create what you want to create. So I invite you to consider who and what you have to forgive from 2021 in order to powerfully create abundance in 2022. Again, I definitely suggest making a list of who those people are. One of my original teachers in this kind of thinking was a woman named Catherine Ponder. And she often said every single day, you could write a whole list of who you need to forgive or what you need to forgive yourself for every day, which is quite amazing. So, because, you know, maybe it's like honking at that person in front of you, or not being very nice to your partner, or bigger things that have happened in 2021. So it's quite valuable to make a list of who are you still not forgiving from 2021? Was it your boss? Was it your partner? Was it someone that you had a bad interaction with? Because carrying that energy into 2022 makes it really hard to create. So there's a couple different ways to do forgiveness. One of them is certainly making a list and seeing if you're willing to let that go, maybe even have a communication with that person. Pick up the phone, say what you need to say, and clear it. That's really powerful. But sometimes we don't feel comfortable doing that. So I suggest writing a letter. In my coaching, quite often I have people write letters that they don't send. And these letters can be to anyone, actually living or gone. Sometimes it's a parent, sometimes it's a child, sometimes, it can be anyone. But write that letter. Let yourself feel all the emotions. Just let it rip, basically. And then either tear it up. I even do a very elaborate burning ritual, but whatever works for you, to have a clean slate. Because if we're thinking back about that garden, those are the weeds that are getting in the way of you even getting that you deserve to have the things that you want. You might think you feel like you deserve, but if there's also forgiveness of self, what did you do in 2021 you didn't feel good about? How were you behaving? Were you not kind? Were you impatient? So making a list of those things, maybe even writing a letter to yourself with intentions of how you wish to be. So that's very valuable as well. So if you're in integrity with yourself, because you're rehabilitated your word by doing that integrity process, if you've cleared the forgiveness, if you've looked at disappointment and loss and done the process, you may still need to grieve. You may still need to communicate with someone. There may be some action you do need to take, but at least you've come to a more neutral place. So these are a few, there's many other steps you can do to honor and release 2021. But there's two more that are really important that we very rarely do that get you ready for creating. And that is honoring your accomplishments. I know from the work I do with people, people very rarely acknowledge themselves. And I think it's so important because if you're standing upon your accomplishments, it's a very powerful place to be versus just continue going for this goal, but you've never stopped to acknowledge yourself and honor your accomplishments. My good friend, Susan, who I know is here today, we do something really wonderful at the beginning of every year. And I suggest you may consider this as well. We actually write down all of our accomplishments from the previous year, send it to each other. So if you have a good friend or a partner, or even if you want to do it just with yourself, go back over the year, month by month by month, and really take some time to savor your accomplishments. Write them down. If you can, speak them out loud, either to a friend or to yourself. Maybe even go to the mirror and say them proudly. It's so supportive for you to build that confidence to go and stretch in 2022 for the goals that you're having if you're standing upon your accomplishments. I also suggest that you do this daily, keeping a journal of what did I accomplish today? It's a great thing to do. So I really suggest that you consider even having a journal that's your accomplishment journal. It's really fun. The other last piece of looking at 2021 that I'm going to talk about today are the gifts. Many of us look at the past couple of years and we're like, it was so challenging, which it was and is, to be in this pandemic. We've had loss, we've been frustrated, we're irritated. Some have been locked down with their children or their spouses working from home. So many different things that have been difficult. But at the same time, there have been many, many gifts. For me, I know it really accelerated my relationship in terms of deepening my relationship because I spent a lot of time with my now husband that I would have been out with girlfriends and running around and being busy. I was home. I started cooking healthy food. I got closer with family, even set up a lot of Zoom family calls. And I spent a lot more time going within and, reprioritizing. So why don't you take a moment and either reflect or write down 3 to 5 gifts that you received from 2021. Great, and you can come back to this list at any time, but it really helps us reframe what we've been going through. And this is a process I really suggest doing with any situation. The second book I wrote, which is called Transcend Your Diagnosis, Mapping a Path to Optimal Well-Being, was about my cancer journey. And it was really interesting for me to honor and release my journey in the same way I'm talking about doing this year, but eventually get to what were the gifts that I received from going through this journey. And when you take some time and look at the gifts of any experience, especially the challenging ones, it not only reframes it, but you can tell a different story. When we're constantly telling the story of the negative, it debilitates our ability to even see what's possible in the future. We really get disillusioned. But when you look at what the gifts were from any experience that you've gone through, because there's always a gift. Maya Angelou says something so wonderful. She says, there's a rainbow in every cloud. And if you look hard enough, you will discover what those gifts are. So I suggest sort of closing out the year, maybe sharing your accomplishment list with a friend, reading it out loud proudly, and then discovering what the gifts are. With that, I move into 2022 and creating abundance in 2022. So this is where you take out your list of what is abundance to you. Some people are very financially stable, so abundance to them would be having more free time for themselves, spending more time with family, doing that bucket list of maybe you want to go to Hawaii or wherever you want to go, and hopefully this year you'll be able to travel. But whatever abundance is for you, financial freedom, I used to put that on my list every year. Having, a phenomenal body and being healthy and in optimal well-being is abundance for you. Abundance is really health, relationship, career, finances. It's much broader than we normally think of it. So it's good to get very clear, what are your intentions in terms of abundance for 2022? So one of the things, of course, is visioning. I'm very big on visioning and using visualization and vision boards. So as you get very crystal clear about what your vision is, and it is important to be clear and specific and write it down. There's some power in writing it down, not just thinking about it, but writing it down. Once you do that, one of the things that come up are what I call the yeah buts. So what are the yeah buts? Well, exactly what they sound like. I'm going to manifest that dream job, but there's so few jobs and, I don't have the qualifications and whatever. You do need to clear the yeah buts. And again, writing them down, looking to see if those limiting beliefs are true or something you made up. And we do really make up those beliefs so we can make up a positive belief. So even the simple idea of taking all those negative beliefs that you have, all the yeah buts of why you can't have abundance in 2022, and shifting them to a positive affirmation and saying that every day, put a Post-it up on your mirror. It's like putting a new program in the computer of your mind. and it's repetition. So I really strongly suggest that you try that on. Once you've gotten through the yeah buts, it's time to vision. So just checking to see, yes, I have enough time, and then I'd love to get your questions. So the visioning has several different ways you can do it. One of the ways is to write a vision or your intentions for the new year. A little different than resolutions, because you really want to frame it in the positive. Two of the words that I like to use are I am statements. They say that invokes the power of the universe when you use those statements. Do it in present tense as if it's already occurring. So for many years, I guess I wasn't ready, but I said, I am in a powerful partnership with my divine partner. It did manifest when I was ready. And sometimes there's divine timing, so everything doesn't happen as immediately as you like. And we have to savor the journey. I am my ideal weight. I am living in a beautiful home that I love. I am in a career that fulfills me. Writing down those I am statements. Then take those statements and put them into a vision. The vision being a paragraph or two or a page that describes every area of your life, your health, your relationships, your career, your finances, everything that's important to you, everything that reflects what great abundance would be for you in 2022. Take that vision and put it by your bed and read it every night before you go to sleep. The greatest part of that is if you read it before you go to sleep, you don't have the yeah buts that you would have during the day. You read it, you sleep, it percolates, as Wayne Dyer, one of my other teachers, used to say, it marinates all night long in your subconscious and sends that signal out to the universe. You know, we've all heard of the law of attraction. It's really based in scientific fact. In the law of physics, like energy attracts like energy. So if your subconscious is every night marinating your I am statements and your vision or your vision, it's sending that signal out and attracting those same things back to you. In divine timing, I will say that. And it's often good at the bottom of that to write this or something better. And lastly, I would suggest, especially for those of you that are very visual, creating a vision board or a vision notebook. And you can do that on your computer. I know people who have Macs, it's very easy to create it that way. Or for some, doing it physically. I have a cork board that I put pictures and symbols of the things that I've really gotten clear in my vision I want to create. And words that depict, you know, I want to be more patient in 2022. So I put patience, I put love, I put energy, whatever's important to you. Then every single day that you can, look at your either vision board or put it in a notebook and feel the feelings of having, being, doing all of those things. Feelings are the glue. So the more you can get into that feeling state of your 2022 abundance, the easier it is to manifest. So I just want to check with Libby if there are any questions. I would love to now answer any questions that you may have.
Amazing. Thank you, Cindy.
You're welcome.
We so appreciate you taking us through that. That was so great. We do have a couple questions before we jump into that. I do just want to make sure that anyone who wants it in the chat, if you do want to book time with Cindy, here is the link to her calendar. I'm just dropping it in. And then also, if you already know that you love Cindy and you want to work with her, I'm just going to say, if that's something that you would like, this second link that I'm dropping in, if you're ready, you can get started here. And that is just a link to sign up for a membership with us. And in the drop down, there's an option to select your coach, and you'll pick Cindy, and we'll get you all set up. So when you are ready, you can do that. And we do have just 2 quick questions. And then if anyone else has questions, please drop them in the chat. Let's get that going. Or if anything really resonated with you, please drop that in the chat. We would love to collect everybody's wonderful ideas. So our first question that we've got is, how do you give forgiveness if it isn't being received? Perpetual things with someone to which you don't align.
That's wonderful. And I hope I'm understanding this correctly. And if you need any clarification, please put in the chat. But forgiveness is for you. It is not how the other person is or isn't receiving you. I know we love to be validated and we want the other person to, get our communication. But I think it's Oprah who says, when we don't forgive, it's like taking rat poisoning and expecting the other person to die. I mean, it is toxic and it is keeping you from manifesting what you choose. So it really is for you to release the part that's blocking you. And so I suggest that if you can let go of how the other person responds and realize how important it is for you, it blocks our happiness, it blocks our abundance, it blocks everything when we're harboring resentment. So hopefully that, and do you need a further clarification? Okay.
And then the next question, this was just a follow-up. She says, no, that was clear. So thank you.
Okay.
So the follow-up question, someone asked, what do I write in the letter to myself to clear 2021? Can you just repeat that?
Absolutely. So I would suggest looking at, if this is the part like forgiveness of self, which I think that's what we're referring to. First of all, maybe start with a list of what you need to forgive yourself for. And then just know, we're always doing our best. Again, another Maya Angelou, not that she's the only person, but she says some great things, is when we know better, we do better, right? So it's just time to forgive yourself. And if you're a mother or a father, I don't know who this is from, but one of the things that you might look at, and I do talk about this in my coaching too, how would you be if your child came to you and said, I did these things? And you would tell them to forgive themselves, but we're so hard on ourselves. So see if you're willing to let go of that which no longer serves you and write a loving letter as if you are your own mother, and be able to forgive. So the letter is customized for you. I can't tell you how to do it, but it's just forgiving and releasing that which doesn't serve you any longer. Hopefully that helps. Anyone else? I'd love to answer any of your questions.
Not seeing any other questions in the chat. So thank you so much, Cindy. And here's one more. Can you talk about limiting beliefs and how those manifest?
Yes. Limiting beliefs, if we really look back, most of our beliefs are formed in childhood. Something happens and we decide something, either about ourselves, about others, about life. I'm working with someone, one of the areas I'm working in right now is relationship, which has really been fabulous. I'm working with a woman who's wanting to create her partner, but she's online and she's developing a lot of limiting beliefs. There's no great men, So limiting beliefs come from our experiences, and then we make a decision and form a belief. The thing to do about the limiting beliefs is to really look, first of all, is it supporting you in any way? And is it 100% true? I mean, many times we made it up when we were 5 years old and it doesn't even apply now. So I would look at what your limiting beliefs are and see, even like fake it till you make it, like try on a positive belief about that subject and just keep repeating it to yourself, maybe make an affirmation. Eventually you can really step into that more positive belief about that subject, and then different things manifest out of that.
It's wonderful, Cindy. Do you have a favorite book you would recommend?
There's so many. You know, my original book that really helped me, it's an old book, but it is by Catherine Ponder. I'm trying to think of the name of it. Oh my God. If anybody knows, please put in the chat about creating, well, any of the books, like Deepak Chopra has great books about manifesting. You know what? I have to think about that. Sorry. But,
Cindy, if you think about it, we can include that in the recap email.
I would love that. And Libby, I saw somebody asked a question about their husband, or I'm not sure.
Yep, that was the next question on the list. How can I introduce my husband and child to the vision board? We started making one together, but we need a way to make it more real.
You know what? That's a great, I was actually going to say this. It's a fun thing to do with other people. You know, you can do it virtually with your friends or with your husband and child. I think it's fabulous. You know, I don't know if you've ever done a vision board, but if you have and something did manifest, that's a fun thing to share with people. I remember I had a client that had a really fancy ring, engagement ring on her vision board. Next thing I know, she was engaged. I mean, it does happen. So I would make it like a fun activity where you get a stack of magazines maybe and get all the supplies, the scissors and everything, and ask maybe your husband and child, what are 3 things you want to create in 2022? And then everybody look for pictures that symbolize those things. So make it fun, play.
Wonderful. Someone suggested that the book was Dynamic Laws of Prosperity by Catherine Ponder.
That's it. She really goes through the laws of manifestation that really started me on the path of this art of manifestation. So that's a great book. You know, not to tote my own horn, but the self-love book that I have has 150 tools and exercises, many of which I mentioned here. So that might be valuable. And I'll make a list and give it to Libby. She can send that out to you.
Perfect. Can we find out? Oh, there was a follow-up to a question, so I will address this. There were a few folks asking about insurance, and if we accept insurance for your coaching memberships. The answer is that we will be happy to provide the paperwork that you need to submit to your insurance, but we don't accept it directly. So you'll have to talk to your insurance company to see if coaching is covered, and then you can submit that as an out-of-pocket expense. Oh, it sounds like folks have really enjoyed this. Cindy, I don't know if you're reading the comments now.
I am. Thank you so much. You know, it's my passion. I just love to really empower people. We're powerful beyond measure. Many of us have forgotten, and this clearing piece is so important. So, you know, I just invite you to really look in your life. What do you need to clear in terms of your integrity, your forgiveness, to get ready to have 2022, even though we've got these circumstances, be the best year of your life.
Amazing. Well, with that, thank you everybody so much for joining. Cindy, this was wonderful, a beautiful break to my day, I know. So great. Just to recap, we will be sending out in the follow-up an email that will have a link to the recording. So if you missed something or you just want to watch it again, the recording will be sent to your inbox. If for whatever reason you've unsubscribed from our mailing list, you can always head over to our YouTube channel, look us up on YouTube, and that will be posted within the next day or so. And then additionally, we'll be sending out links to Cindy's calendar so that you can book into our calendar as well. So if you want to talk to Cindy or with just one of our relationship strategists, if you just have more general questions, that would be the team to use. Feel free to send us emails. We have a connect form on our website, and we hope to continue to see you all in our future webinars. This is so great.
Thank you, Libby, and thank you, everyone.
Have a great day, everyone.
Bye.